In Two Leg Place, Tigerstar's still pretty smug about that whole have dogs murder everyone idea he had, so he comes up with an even more exciting one: have some cats nobody's ever heard of kill everyone. Meanwhile, that same everyone sees Bluestar for the first time in 2 months. Too bad she's dead. Darkstripe then reminds everyone that Fireheart is a kitty pet. Everyone ignores him. Soon after, Fireheart is dragged to Mothermouth and knocked out by Cinderpelt. While asleep, he's gifted with 8 extra lives by all his dead friends. You know, normal feral cat stuff. Don't you miss the first series where everything was realistic? Lionheart gives him the life of naming warriors fur and pelt. It's sophisticated, says Lionheart. Redtail gives him the life of screen time, while Silverstream gives him perfect eyeliner. Running Wind gives him the life of appreciating background characters. I really like that Brackenfur guy, thinks Fireheart. Brindleface gives him the power of infinite, unrestrained muscle. Swiftpaw gives him the hiccups. Yellowfang gives him the life of unnecessary super additions. Spotted Leaf gives him late series retcons. Oh, so Sandstorm is Brindleface's kit? That will make lots of sense and not make any future developments creepy. Bluestar is last. With this life, I give you everlasting life, she tells him. Doesn't that kind of defeat the purpose of having 9? Asks Fireheart. Look, if it gets out of hand, we'll just drop a tree on you like we do every immortal cat, she insists. Then Fireheart is upgraded to his final form, Fireman. The celebration lasts about 3 seconds before Firestar is attacked by several scary skeletons and wakes up. Firestar then admits to Cinderpelt he is in fact a psychic. That's weird, I guess, says Cinderpelt, and the conversation accomplishes nothing because he doesn't share any details about his dream or prophecy. Back at camp, Firestar makes Whitestorm his deputy, mostly because his BFF Greystripe is no loyalty traitor number 1. Bramblepaw follows Firestar to Two Leg Place, and they have a heart-to-heart discussion before Firestar realizes that Tigerstar's pretty child was the evil one all along. Soon after, they catch Darkstripe poisoning a baby. Relatable. I didn't do that, says Darkstripe. We saw you do that, says everyone else. Thornpaw's warrior assessment is decided by a patrol, and while he's at it, he changes Lost Face to Brightheart to one-up his nephew. Sorrelkit wakes up and tells everybody about how Darkstripe poisoned her so nobody knew about his date with Blackfoot. They then kick out Whiny Edgeface 2 bucks too late, as it's that impossible to be fired from ThunderClan. Tawnypaw is upset. Firestar finally decides to tell the Gathering what Tigerstar has done, but he's thrown off yet again by Tigerstar combining 2 clans that don't even touch on the map. Firestar will never tell anyone anything. Firestar will either decide randomly not to share what he's seen, or be stopped before he can say anything. Tell people things, kids, or Tigerstar will take over the forest. For some reason, Firestar goes on as normal until his hot dream girlfriend tells him to get his act together. Tawnypaw is not happy about being compared to Tigerstar. Maybe she should be more like Tigerstar. Greystripe is worried about his babies. Should have thought about that before betraying them forever, dude. What is wrong with you? So Firestar and Trader Stripe go to have a fun chat with the attractive children and pick up Tigerstar Hater 97 on the way. They find out that RiverClan and ShadowClan have made a new camp in literal actual hell. Nice place, says Greystripe. Suddenly it's time for Tiger Court. All of the Grey Cats are put on trial. Oh no, my son, Stonefur, cries Greystripe. Tigerstar decides they can't trust half-clan cats, despite the fact that he's trying to combine all of the clans, so he tells Stonefur to kill the teenagers. Leopardfur gives this plan 2 thumbs up. Stonefur doesn't. Darkstripe, being well-versed in trying to kill children for no reason, shows Stonefur a thing or two, and by that I mean Blackfoot shows Stonefur a thing or two. Darkstripe feels bad that he just can't kill children good enough for Tigerstar. The Into the Wild gang roll in some rotting corpses before sneaking into hell. Then Ravenpaw seduces Jaggedtooth while they rescue the prisoners. As soon as they get back to camp, Tawnypaw is gone. Well, you win some, you lose some, right guys? They stay home for maybe a total of 3 minutes before TigerClan bursts into WindClan to find more 15-year-olds to murder. Firestar arrives 5 minutes too late just to learn that Tigerstar killed Gorsepaw for being the only other ginger cat alive. He left a message for you, says Tallstar, turning Gorsepaw over to reveal, "This is you, LOL." Everybody heads on down to Fortress to tell Tigerstar they're not interested. Tawnypaw is there. "I'm playing the devil's advocate," says Tawnypaw. Nobody thinks this is cute. "You're not my real dad," shouts Teenage No, shouts Bramblepaw. In retaliation, Tigerstar presents his new son. Several bodybuilding kitty pets with knives and broken glass superglued to their bodies. Oh, and one itty-bitty one. Tigerstar screams for BloodClan to collectively punch Firestar in the face, but they all check their phones instead. "Hey, so, what's up, dude? Nice to meet you," says Firestar to the tiny cat vibrating with hatred. Scourge hisses at him for 14 minutes before stopping to breathe. Firestar proceeds to make the most detailed Tigerstar call-out post he can possibly manage. After hearing this, Scourge thinks that he would make a better antagonist than Tigerstar. He does a backflip so awesome that all of Tigerstar's organs fail one by one. Scourge then decides that the forest is a much better place than the back alley behind an apartment complex that BloodClan used to live in. "Dibs on the forest," says Scourge, leaving to pack his knives and Mountain Dew. Everyone goes home to prepare for war. Then Ravenpaw and Barley show up because it's not a true final battle unless everyone you've ever met is there. Barley tells everyone that BloodClan is weak because they don't believe in StarClan. But why does Barley? How does he know? Sandstorm teaches the kittens to kill. Whitestorm suggests that they leave the forest instead of fighting Edgecat. But they'd never do that. Firestar starts getting worried, so he screams at the sky until all the dead people in his life float down and tell him that they're not going to spoon-feed him cosmic information about the future and nature of cats. Then he remembers that he could just force TigerClan to fight for him by being intimidating and strong and maybe sitting on that pile of bones. He goes to the RiverClan camp to recruit more units for his party and meets Tawnypaw, who says, "Sorry, Firestar, but you still suck." Just as everyone agrees to fight, Darkstripe rage quits. "Not like we needed you anyways, loser." Whitestorm takes a minute or two to accept his death before the battle. Newly formed LionClan goes to war first thing in the morning and ruins Pancake Day for BloodClan. In the middle of the fight, Darkstripe attacks Firestar, but Greystripe quickly kills him in the ultimate battle of the traitors. Then, across the way, all the nearly full-grown apprentices kill Bone at once. Whitestorm dies from this all being too exciting for old people. With his dying breath, he makes the cat that made more bad decisions than anyone else combined in the last few years the new deputy. Firestar saves one whisker from being put through the paper shredder, but dies immediately after. Up in Cat Heaven, Firestar learns that they're constructing a new Firestar from all of his dead parts. Ew. Firestar then resurrects, which scares Scourge so much that he dies instead. Checkmate, atheists. All the edgy kitty pets leave to buy bus tickets while the clan cats party. Mistyfoot gets made deputy of RiverClan, and the absolute mess tells his kittens that he'll break into their territory anytime. Blackfoot gets forgiven for his war crimes and goes to become leader of ShadowClan. Tawnypaw comes with him. WindClan continues to exist. Spottedleaf floats down from heaven to give Firestar a smooch. Everything is right with the forest. Until the 4,000 sequels.